Step into the world of shadows and mystery, where the line between truth and legend blurs with every rustle of leaves and distant echo in the woods. In this chilling exploration of true stories of Bigfoot, drawn from hunters, hikers, forest rangers, and night shift truck drivers, we dive deep into the wilderness where countless people claim to have encountered something massive, intelligent, and terrifyingly real. Whether you consider Bigfoot a myth, an undiscovered species, or something stranger entirely, these gripping accounts will pull you into the darkness of the forest and leave you questioning what lurks just beyond the tree line. The wilderness has always been a place of wonder, vast, untamed, and ancient. Yet for many who've spent long nights or lonely days in the woods, there's a different kind of wonder waiting there, something that makes even experienced outdoorsmen feel watched. Some describe it as a presence, others as a lurking figure that moves with surprising stealth for its size. For a handful of unfortunate witnesses, the experience goes far beyond a fleeting glimpse. It becomes something they can't forget. One of the most unsettling encounters comes from a seasoned hunter in the Pacific Northwest who spent decades tracking animals through remote forests. Known for being level-headed and nearly impossible to spook, he was the last person anyone expected to be shaken by a creature that wasn't supposed to exist. One fog-heavy morning, he set out before sunrise, hoping to track elk deep into the ridgeline. The forest was unusually still, no birds, no squirrels, no distant hoots or snaps. Just a heavy, suffocating silence. He climbed a familiar slope, but as he got closer to the top, he felt the hair on the back of his neck rise. Someone, or something, was pacing him from the trees. Every time he stopped, the sound stopped. Every time he moved, it followed. Eventually, he spotted a figure through the mist. Massive, broad-shouldered, standing on two legs, covered in dark hair. It didn't run. It didn't hide. It simply watched him with eyes that felt disturbingly intelligent. He tried raising his rifle, not to shoot but to appear threatening, yet his hands trembled so violently he almost dropped it. The creature let out a deep, rumbling growl, low enough to vibrate the ground, then stepped back into the forest, disappearing so silently he wondered if he had imagined it. But the footprints he later found, nearly twice the size of his boot, told him he hadn't imagined anything. Hikers often stumble upon signs long before they see anything unusual. Massive footprints imprinted in mud, strange clawless scratches on tree trunks 8 or 9 feet high, or the eerie sensation of being watched on a trail that should have been empty. Many hikers report hearing strange howls echoing through the evening air, howls that don't match wolves, bears, or anything known. A pair of hikers in the Smoky Mountains insisted they heard something large walking parallel to them for almost an hour. They kept calling out, expecting another hiker to respond, but the footsteps continued with uncanny precision, slowing when they slowed, stopping when they stopped. Only when dusk turned the woods dim did the presence abruptly vanish. Later that night, at their campsite, they heard a powerful knocking sound on the trees, as if something massive were hitting wood against wood in some kind of eerie communication. At sunrise, when they finally dared to look around, they found fresh prints only a few yards from their tent, prints far too large to belong to a human. Forest rangers, trained to identify animal behaviors and familiar with every local species, bring some of the most compelling accounts. One ranger described an incident that left him doubting everything he thought he knew about the wilderness. While checking a restricted trail late one afternoon, he discovered a section of forest where full-grown trees had been snapped in half, clean breaks too high and too thick for any known animal to have caused. While documenting the damage, he felt a sudden vibration through the ground, almost like a distant thud. Then another, and another. It wasn't the rhythm of logging, nor was it thunder. Something was moving, something big. He turned toward the sound and caught sight of a figure moving between trees faster than he could keep his eyes on it. He radioed for backup, but the signal cut out. The forest grew unnervingly quiet before a roar, deep, guttural, primal, echoed across the ridge. He described it as unlike anything he'd heard in his life, a sound that felt too powerful to come from any known animal. When his radio finally regained signal, he ordered the trail shut down for safety. To this day, he refuses to patrol that ridge alone. Then there are the late-night truck drivers, hauling freight along endless stretches of isolated highways, whose headlights catch more than deer on the roadside. One driver recounted a night he'll never forget as long as he lives. Around 3 a.m., while driving through a remote mountain pass, he noticed something tall standing near the shoulder of the road. He assumed at first it was a fallen log or possibly a moose. But as he drew closer, the figure straightened, revealing a towering shape covered in thick hair. It took one massive stride toward the center of the road, forcing him to slam the brakes. The creature turned its head toward him, and for a split second, their eyes met, dark, reflective, and undeniably aware. Then, with astonishing speed, it darted into the trees, its movement almost impossibly fluid for something so large. The driver said he sat trembling for minutes afterward, trying to convince himself it was just exhaustion playing tricks on him. Yet the next day, another trucker on the same route reported seeing something identical. 2 separate drivers, same pass, same night. Coincidence, or something more? Even more unnerving are the encounters that happen deep in the forest at night. Campers have described waking to heavy footsteps circling their tents, slow, deliberate, and impossibly close. Some report hearing deep breathing just outside the thin layer of fabric separating them from the unknown. Others wake to the sound of rocks being thrown, large rocks, much too big for any normal animal to toss. One pair of campers in Oregon woke to what they thought was a bear rubbing against their tent, until they heard a human-like grunt and saw a massive silhouette cast by the moonlight. They froze, barely breathing, until the figure wandered off, leaving behind a lingering smell of wet fur and earth. When they checked the area at dawn, they found huge prints leading back into the forest. What makes these stories so compelling is not just the vivid detail but the consistency across decades, across states, across backgrounds. People with no connection to each other, no reason to fabricate such tales, describe the same towering figure, the same uncanny intelligence, the same terrifying sounds echoing through the trees. Even more chilling are the accounts where witnesses swear they saw the creature watching them, not like a predator, but like a curious, wary being that understands far more than it should. Skeptics argue these sightings come from misidentifications, illusions, or tricks of the mind in dark, unfamiliar woods. But those who have seen it up close insist that no bear stands upright with such ease, no known animal leaves footprints that size, and nothing else in the wild exudes that sense of presence. Many who encounter it describe the same reaction, an overwhelming instinct to leave, not out of fear of being attacked, but out of the unbearable feeling of trespassing on something's territory, something powerful, ancient, and deeply aware. These stories do more than entertain. They reveal an unsettling possibility that the wilderness holds secrets far older than our maps or our science. Whether Bigfoot is an elusive primate, a surviving relic species, a guardian of forgotten forests, or something even stranger, the people who have crossed paths with it share one certainty: whatever it is, it's real enough to change the way they see the world. So as you step from daylight into dusk, as you venture down an isolated trail or drive through a silent mountain pass, remember these stories. The woods are vast, ancient, and filled with shadows that move in ways you might never fully understand. Listen closely to the wind, to the calls echoing through the trees, to the footsteps that sometimes follow a little too closely. Because out there, hidden between the thick pines and shrouded in darkness, Bigfoot might be watching, waiting, wondering when someone else will witness the truth lurking in the wild. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, the wilderness doesn't lie. And countless voices have whispered the same haunting message: something is out there, and it's far more real than we dare to believe.